Ms. Lopez, did someone pay for your plane ticket to Los Angeles yesterday?
Sí.
Yes.
Who paid for it?
¿Quién lo pagó?
Mi sobrina.
My niece.
What's her name?
¿Cómo se llama ella?
Josefina.
Josefina.
What's her last name?
¿Cuál es el apellido de ella?
Rodríguez.
Rodríguez.
Okay. How do you spell her first name?
¿Cómo se deletrea el nombre de pila? I don't know how you spell it. Josefina.
Could you try and spell it for me, please? I would appreciate that greatly.
Tengo que hacerlo de letra, por eso está muy largo el nombre.
Then I have to do it letter by letter, and it's a very long name.
Is it spelled the normal way?
No, se escribe comúnmente de la forma
Ajá.
Uh-huh.
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
There's a normal way?
Yes. Josefina in Spanish, certainly.
Sí, Josefina en español, definitivamente.
You told us that you were terrified of the press, correct?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
You spoke to some of the reporters here in the courtroom this morning, didn't you?
No.
No.
Didn't you speak to a reporter from Court TV this morning?
No.
¿De Court TV esta mañana?
No.
What
No.
is this, Myers? Did you speak to Christian Jeanette Myers from Court TV this morning?
Overruled. Overruled.
Conteste.
Yo no lo conozco, a mí me saludan, me dicen hi, yo digo hi también.
I don't know him. They say hello to me. They say hi. I say hi.
Okay. Well, did you speak to a female or woman reporter this morning?
Esta mañana. ¿Cómo vas?
Overruled. Overruled. Proceed.
Conteste.
Did you?
¿Habló?
Es que yo no sé si es reportero o qué, a mí me dicen hi, yo digo hi.
I don't know if they're reporters or what. They tell me hi. I say hi.
Well, did you tell someone this morning, a woman, quote, I love you on TV, unquote?
Sí,
Yes.
porque la miro en la televisión.
Because I see her on TV.
You see that person here
¿Ve
today?
usted a la persona aquí presente hoy?
No la miro.
I don't see her right now.
You weren't terrified of that TV reporter, were you?
Esa reportera de la televisión no le da miedo. No la aterroriza.
No, porque no tiene la cámara enfrente de mi cara.
No, because she doesn't have a camera in front of my face.
You have it? I'm going to need about 5 minutes to gather some additional information.
You don't have anything else you can cross-examine on at this point?
No, I don't think so.
Any objection to that?
Employment insurance forms that you had, who gave you those forms?
Yo fui al desempleo.
I went to unemployment.
Okay. Did you see an unemployment insurance counselor?
Consejero de seguros de desempleo. Espérese.
Overruled.
Conteste.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And did that counselor tell you the requirements for obtaining unemployment insurance?
Seguro de desempleo.
Sí.
Yes.
And he told you that you had to remain in the state, correct?
Tenía que quedarse en este estado, ¿correcto?
No me dijo eso. Yo no lo pregunté.
I wasn't told that. I didn't ask it.
Did you look at the blank unemployment insurance form?
Las formas de desempleo en blanco.
No las he leído todavía, señor.
I still haven't read them, sir.
Your Honor, what time did you plan to adjourn this morning?
That was something I was going to talk to you about because it's obvious we're not going to finish this morning, so we may, looks like we're going to be in session this afternoon, but let me talk to counsel about scheduling. Question?
If I may, Your Honor. Ms. Lopez, direct your attention to the young lady near the courtroom doors. Is that the woman that you spoke to this morning and said, I love you on TV?
Sí, porque la veo en la televisión.
Yes, because I watch her on TV.
Okay, she was walking past you
Y
at the
la
time,
iba pasando en ese momento. Yes.
and you pulled on her skirt and stopped her.
No, no.
No le he tocado a la señorita.
I didn't touch that lady.
Yo solo le dije que se miraba, la actriz decía que te miraba muy bonita en la televisión.
I only told her, you look very pretty on TV.
Okay, so you didn't stop her so that you could speak to her.
Stop her, para hablar con ella. I told her.
All right, can we have the young lady identify herself, please?
Que se
For the record.
identifique la señorita, por favor.
Kristen Janelle Myers, Court TV.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, counsel, this hearing has obviously taken on dimensions that go far beyond what we thought it would. The court had originally intended on going dark at 11:45 today. It's clear to me we're not going to finish this morning. So we will stand in recess until 1:45 and conclude the hearing this afternoon. Mr. Jones, are you available 1:45?
I believe so, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Ms. Lopez, the lawyers still have some other questions. I'm going to try to conclude this hearing today. I'm going to order you to come back this afternoon at 1:45. Do you understand the order, ma'am?
Thank you very
All
much,
right,
sir.
thank you very much.
Your Honor, would you order Ms. Filippo to return that to
Yep, she's outside the court.
her attorney?
All right, counsel, are you here on behalf of Ms. Villapando and KMEX?
Right here, Your Honor.
Are you here?
Right?
All right, are you here on behalf of KMEX and Ms. Villapando?
Yes.
All right, will you accept the court's order directing her to return at 1:45 on her behalf? Thank you very much, counsel. All right, we'll stand in recess. Which videotape is this? All right, let's have it quiet in the courtroom, please.
Recess, and the court will resume in about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Gives us pause to look back at what has happened here over the last couple of hours. We have seen Rosa Lopez on the witness stand being questioned about whether or not she intends to leave this jurisdiction and be unavailable to testify at the time appropriately for the defense case in the murder trial of O.J. Simpson, and some vigorous cross-examination testing her believability, whether or not she is covering the story you become as earlier today.
Yes, well, as I reported during the mid-morning break that we took, Greg, as I was walking out of the courtroom in the morning, Rosa Lopez, who had not yet taken the stand, was seated against the back wall. And as I was walking out, she reached up and either pulled at my skirt or brushed it back and forth to get my attention. And I did look down and saw that it was Rosa Lopez. And at that point in time, she was smiling. Her face was beaming, was the best way that I could describe it. And she was saying, I love you on TV. I know you from TV. You're so pretty. I like to watch you on TV. And I looked startled, I believe, because her attorney, Carl Jones, who was sitting next to her, looked up at me and said, she just knows you from TV, as if to explain why this was occurring. And I kept moving. As you know, when you're in the courtroom, you file out in single file, and you don't stop, or the deputies will have a problem with you. And I went down to the toilet during the break because it was interesting that someone who had just been characterized by Johnnie Cochran as terrorized by the media would choose to reach out and extend herself, in a sense, to a member of the media. And so I reported that. Well, it appears that the prosecution, or someone of the prosecution team, or someone in contact with the prosecution, was watching court TV. And Christopher Darden was informed of this incident through whatever channels. So during the second portion of the morning, when I was on the 12th floor media room, a representative from the district attorney's office did come up and request my presence in court, and that was what you just saw moments ago, which was the identification where the witness, Rosa Lopez, acknowledged that she had spoken to me on the way out of court after the first morning break.
All right, so far.
All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter. Mr. Simpson is again present with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Douglas, people represented by Mr. Darden, Ms. Lewis.
We're expecting Ms. Cochran.
All right.
Wait a second.
Certainly. All right, Ms. Lopez, would you come forward again, please? All right, Ms. Lopez, would you please retake the witness stand? And if you just pull the microphone close to you, please. All right, good afternoon, Ms. Lopez.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're reminded that you're still under oath. Mr. Darden, you may resume your cross-examination.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, on those occasions when you visited El Salvador, did you watch television?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're aware that in El Salvador, you can pick up KTLA, Channel 5 out of Los Angeles, correct?
Watching television and picking up Channel 5, I don't know that's a simple fact, not evidence. Doesn't it not?
Overruled.
Ya ni me acuerdo que estaba trabajando allá.
I don't even remember what channel they work over there.
Okay. But you do recall that in El Salvador you can pick up Los Angeles television stations, correct?
Los canales de televisión de Los Ángeles, ¿correcto?
Yo no he visto de acá, he visto los canales de allá.
I haven't seen it from here. I've seen the stations that are there.
Okay. Are you familiar with a newspaper called the La Prensa
Que se llama La Prensa
Gráfica?
Gráfica.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the largest daily circulated newspaper in San Salvador, correct?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that they've run numerous articles about you, including your picture?
Estoy viendo la fotografía de usted.
Sí.
Yes.
You're well known in El Salvador, aren't you?
Of course, that calls for speculation, conclusion. It's also beyond the scope of this hearing, I think.
No, I don't believe so, but rephrase the question, Mr. Darden. Stop beyond the scope, but why don't you rephrase that?
Ms. Lopez, are you aware that in El Salvador that you are well known?
¿Usted es bien conocida? ¿Se le conoce?
Pues en mi rancho creo que sí, pero en la capital no lo creo.
Well, I think that they do in my ranch, but I don't think that they do in the capital.
Are you familiar with TV stations 2, 4, 6, and 12 in El Salvador?
Es que cuando voy para allá no miro televisión tanto, siempre voy aburrida de ver televisión de acá.
It's that when I go over there, I don't watch that much TV. I'm already bored of watching TV here.
Okay. Are you aware that they are watching you right now in El Salvador?
Does it matter? The question I thought was what she's doing to herself.
Overruled.
Watching TV now. She's caused her sleep.
Overruled. But she's indicated one of her fears is that she's well-known here.
Yes.
If she's well-known there, then she may have the same problem there.
Maybe she, well, I don't know. Maybe you'll let me address this at the appropriate time here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Cochran. Mr. Darden.
What was it?
Are you aware that the reporters at those TV stations in San Salvador are watching you testify here today?
Están viendo declarando
It does.
aquí.
Was that sustained?
Yes, it does assume a fact, not an
Okay.
evidence.
All right. Okay. Are you aware that in San Salvador you can get CNN International?
Se puede ver CNN Internacional. Espérese.
She's going to El Salvador. We're now talking about San Salvador.
So, well, San Salvador is the capital of El Salvador, is my
She's
recollection.
going to San Salvador. Can you say that? There's no
No.
evidence. So
Okay.
there's not evidence. There's more than one city, I think, in El Salvador.
Foundational objection?
Yes.
Sustained.
Okay. Ms. Lopez, when the plane lands in El Salvador, it'll land in the capital, San Salvador. Is that correct?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, are you aware that in San Salvador that you can get CNN International on the television?
Recibir CNN Internacional en la televisión.
Overruled.
No sé yo de eso.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that.
No sabe usted de eso.
Okay. But your sister has told you that she has watched news reports about you on television. Is that correct?
That's hearsay. Call that question.
Goes to her state of mind. Overruled.
So the fact not evidence.
A mí no me lo ha
Sustained.
dicho ella, me lo ha
It's
dicho.
testimony.
Okay,
Hold on.
what-
I'm sustaining the objection that assumes facts not in evidence because you have to lay a foundation. I'm overruling the objection that it's hearsay because it goes to state of mind.
okay. Did you speak to your sister during the month of January?
¿Tu hermana en el mes de enero?
Sí.
Yes.
Did you discuss the news coverage of you?
No sé yo, no hablamos de esas cosas nosotros.
No, sir, we don't talk about those things.
Have you told your sister why you're returning to El Salvador? Did you tell your sister why you're returning to El Salvador?
¿A su hermana por qué es que regresa a El Salvador? ¿Usted?
Sí.
Yes.
Did you tell her that you were returning to avoid harassment from the press?
Para evitar el hostigamiento de los medios de comunicación y la prensa.
Le dije que iba a ir a pasar a mi hijo a otra tumba porque lo necesito pasar este año.
I told her that I was going to go move my son to another grave because I needed to do that this year.
Did you tell your sister that
¿Y le
you
dijo usted a su hermana
were returning to El Salvador to avoid
a El Salvador
the press?
para evitar a la prensa?
No.
No.
You indicated this morning that you told your lawyer many times that you intended to return to El Salvador, correct?
¿Es El Salvador, correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you recall when the first time was that you told him this?
¿La primera vez que le dijo eso?
Ay, no me recuerdo.
I don't remember.
Was it in December?
¿Fue en diciembre?
No me recuerdo.
I don't remember.
Can you give us an approximate?
Twice.
All right, she's already acknowledged that she's told that. Why don't we move on?
Well, can I ask if she told him in 1994? Or
Sure.
Did you tell him this in 1994 or 1995?
94 o en 1995?
En 95.
In 95.
Okay. Are you aware that your lawyer, Mr. Jones, appeared on television on February 2
Televisión el 2 de febrero.
and stated that you had not told him that you intended to return to El Salvador?
Question the problem. Are you aware that your lawyer appeared on television? It's hearsay. The question is vague, unintelligible, ambiguous. and also
Overruled.
hearsay.
Overruled.
Are you
can
aware?
answer the question. Are you aware your attorney said
¿Sabe
this?
usted que su abogado dijo eso?
So the fact not evidence.
Overruled.
Sí.
Yes.
Had you told him by February 2, that is, that you were leaving the country?
¿Usted se iba a ir del país?
No, no le había dicho a él.
No, I hadn't told him.
When did you first tell him?
Ay, no me acuerdo cuando le dije.
I don't remember when I told him.
Okay, well, you know that you told him
Pero
sometime
sabe que
after
se lo dijo
February 2,
después
correct?
del 2 de febrero, ¿correcto?
Es que no recuerdo el día ni la hora que le dije. No, yo no recuerdo.
It's that I don't remember what day or what time I told him. I don't remember.
You told us this morning that you've never spoken to anyone from the Star. Is that correct?
The Star, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Are you acquainted with Tony Frost?
¿A Tony Frost?
No.
No.
You've never met Tony Frost?
No.
¿No ha conocido a Tony Frost? No.
May not know the person by that name. Maybe she talked to him without knowing his name.
Overruled.
Unfair question.
Overruled.
Isn't it true that you had 4 face-to-face interviews with Tony Frost of the Star?
Con Tony Frost de The Star.
Yo no sé quién será Tony Frost. En el trabajo llegaron muchos reporteros y me preguntaban y dije, yo no sé nada, yo no sé nada.
I don't know who Tony Frost is. A lot of reporters came to my job and they would ask me things and I would say, I don't know anything, I don't know anything.
How many reporters discussed paying you for your story?
Tratan de pagarle por su historia.
A mí nunca me han dicho que me van a pagar.
I don't know. Nobody has told me that I'm going to get paid.
Okay, well, did anyone discuss the possibility with you that you could get paid?
La posibilidad
For
de que
telling
me
your
podían
story?
pagar
No.
por dar su historia. No.
Where did you go when we broke for lunch?
Cuando tomamos el descanso para almorzar, ¿a dónde fue usted?
A la cafetería.
To the cafeteria.
And who did you go there with?
¿Con quién fue usted?
Un patio.
With Patty.
And you see Patty here in the courtroom now?
No.
No.
And
I don't see him.
does Patty have a last name?
Mechanic.
Mechanic.
Did you meet anyone else in the cafeteria?
¿Encontró a alguien más en la cafetería?
Había mucha gente.
There were a lot of people there.
Okay. Who did you speak with in the cafeteria?
Espérese,
Overruled.
conteste.
Yo no he hablado con nadie. Todos platican entre ellos, yo no.
I didn't speak with anybody. Everybody speaks among themselves. I didn't.
You didn't speak to Mr. Cochran in the cafeteria?
Sí, entiendo a platicar con ellos también.
Yes, he also comes to chat with them.
Okay, well, didn't you have a heated conversation with Mr. Cochran in the cafeteria?
Conversación en voz alta o candente con el señor.
Wait.
Just the following question is argumentative. Heated conversation. Argumentative.
Mr. Cochran can testify later if he likes, Your Honor.
Why don't you rephrase the question? Conversation first and then describe the tenor and demeanor of the conversation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. When you spoke to Mr. Cochran in the cafeteria, did he appear upset at all?
¿Él parecía estar molesto?
No.
No.
Did he raise his voice?
No.
No.
Did he tell you that you were messing up on the witness stand?
¿Usted estaba cometiendo errores en el banquillo? Espérese.
No, very close to Your Honor. Very close to
I don't think we need to. I think he's entitled to ask that kind of question.
Okay. There were other people present who were here.
May or may not be true. I don't know. Mr. Darden.
Was Mr. Cochran animated at all during the conversation that you had with him?
Remember, we're using an interpreter.
No.
No.
Madam Interpreter, how is animated translated into Spanish?
Not very clearly, Your Honor.
Since I don't speak Spanish, Your Honor, I can't.
All right.
Okay.
Using an interpreter with a witness is an art.
The art word again, huh?
No, not that one.
No, I'm just familiar. That particular verb in Spanish is very difficult. Never mind. Forget I mentioned it. Proceed.
Did Mr. Cochran tell you what to say on the witness stand?
Cuando declarara desde el banquillo?
No.
No.
Okay. How about Mr. McKenna? Did he tell you what to say on the witness stand?
¿Qué decir desde el banquillo?
No, señor.
No, sir.
Did you discuss your testimony with Mr. McKenna?
¿Con el señor McKenna?
No.
No.
Did you tell him what happened here in court this morning?
¿En el tribunal esta mañana?
No.
No.
Did Mr. McKenna tell you not to tell us
Que no nos supiera a nosotros.
that you spoke to him during the lunch hour?
¿Había hablado con él durante el almuerzo?
No, señor, no lo han mencionado ustedes.
No, sir, he hasn't mentioned you.
Not me. Okay. I mean, did he tell you not to tell us
Le dijo inocente, no nos dijera
that you talked to him about your testimony?
que usted había hablado con
This
él
morning.
sobre su testimonio.
Overruled.
No.
No.
By the way, you understand everything I'm saying to you in English, don't you?
¿No es así?
No le pongo atención a usted porque tengo que ponerle atención a la señora aquí.
I'm not paying attention to you because I have to pay attention to the lady here so that I can understand.
What did you say?
Cuando usted habló con el señor Cochran,
This morning, did you speak to him in English?
¿habló con él en inglés?
No.
No.
You weren't sitting back there on that back bench speaking to Mr. Cochran in English?
¿Hablando con el señor Cochran
Sí.
en inglés? Yes.
Okay, so you did speak to Mr. Cochran in English, correct?
¿Correcto?
¿Me entiende mi medio inglés? Sí.
He,
Why don't you rephrase the question? I thought it was this morning, though, on the back bench. That sounded pretty specific.
Didn't you
Okay.
speak to Mr. Cochran in English this morning while the two of you sat on that back bench here in this courtroom?
esa banca de atrás de este tribunal.
¿Sí hablo? Sí.
We did talk, yes.
And in fact, you do speak English.
Yo digo que no porque no lo hablo bien.
I say I don't because I don't speak it well.
Okay. Well, when you spoke to the Salingers, you spoke to them in English, correct?
¿No es así?
Nos peleamos porque me decía que hablar en inglés y yo le decía que no.
We would fight because they would tell me to speak in English and I would say no.
Well, have you found? We'll strike that. Did they speak to you in English?
¿Ellos le hablaban a usted en inglés?
Ella sí, el señor no.
She did. He didn't.
And you understood them?
¿Y usted les entendía?
A veces no, le preguntaba al señor porque no le entendía a ella.
Sometimes I didn't and I would ask the man because I wouldn't understand her.
When you spoke to Mr. Cochran during the lunch hour, was he furious at all?
¿Él estaba furioso de alguna forma?
No.
No.
You have watched some of these proceedings on court TV, is that correct?
Parte de este proceso en Court TV en ese canal, ¿correcto?
Cuando tengo tiempo.
When I have time.
Okay. And do they broadcast, that is Court TV, in Spanish?
¿En español?
Casi no lo miro en español por algunas veces.
I almost don't watch it in Spanish, but sometimes I like to.
Okay. So they do broadcast in Spanish, is that
¿Sí
correct?
lo transmiten en español,
Sí.
correcto? Yes.
Okay. Did you watch the preliminary hearing on Court TV?
¿Ese preliminar en Court TV?
No todo el tiempo cuando que no tengo tiempo.
Not all the time because I don't have the time.
Okay, but you watched some of the preliminary hearing?
¿Vio parte de la
On
audiencia
Court TV?
preliminar en Court TV? A little bit.
In English or in Spanish?
¿En inglés o en español?
En español.
In Spanish.
Is that on Court TV?
¿Fue en el canal Court TV?
No.
No.
En 34.
Channel 34?
Okay, so when you watched these proceedings
Así es
on
que cuando usted ve esto en el-
television in
en
English,
televisión en inglés,
you watched Court TV,
ve usted Court
correct?
TV, ¿correcto?
Cuando estaba en el trabajo, sí, porque agarraba el cable.
When I was at work, yes, because I would get cable.
The fee or pay agreement you have with your lawyer, is it in writing?
Los honorarios de su abogado, ¿está hecho por escrito?
No.
No.
Can I have one moment, Charles?
Certainly.
In the affidavit you signed,
En la declaración que usted firmó
on February 17,
el 17 de febrero
1995,
de 1995,
you indicated at line
usted indicó en el renglón
20 and 21
20 y 21
that you were forced to quit your job.
que usted se vio forzada o obligada a dejar su trabajo.
Is that correct?
¿Correcto? That's correct.
But no one forced you to quit your job, did they?
A dejar su trabajo, ¿sí? A renunciar.
No me lo decía directamente la señora, pero ya no me quería.
The lady didn't tell me so directly, but she didn't want me anymore.
Didn't Mrs. Salinger tell you that you were welcome to stay?
¿Que usted se podía quedar, que era bienvenida?
No, señor.
No, sir.
Didn't she tell you that
No
she
le
would
dijo.
strike that? Didn't she tell you that you were a good employee?
¿Usted era una buena empleada?
No, señor.
No, sir.
She told you that she was going to fire you?
¿Que ella la iba a despedir?
Me dijo de esta forma, ¿se lo explico?
She told me this way. Do you want me to explain it to you?
Go right ahead.
Adelante.
Dijo, si no te vas, si no regresas en una semana, yo busco housekeeper y si quieres referencia te la doy.
She
Entonces,
said to me, if you don't come back in a week, I will look for a housekeeper. And if you want references, I will give them to you.
entonces me estaba despidiendo, ¿right?
Then she was firing me, right?
Mrs. Salinger told you that if you came back in a week, you could have your job back?
¿Estaba en una semana usted podría tener su empleo de regreso?
Sí.
Yes.
And she told you that she would give you references for a new job
¿Le daba referencias para otro
if you
empleo?
wanted them?
Si usted las quería?
Sí.
Yes.
Well, isn't it true, Ms. Lopez, that you quit your job?
¿Usted renunció a su trabajo? Espérese,
Oral.
conteste.
Sí, porque las cámaras de televisión no dejan todos los días y a la señora no le gustaba ya.
Yes,
Estaba enfadada.
because the television cameras would not leave us alone every day, and the lady was already fed up. She didn't like it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about these television
Vamos a
cameras.
hablar de las cámaras de televisión.
Did these television cameras walk up, or rather, did the camera reporters walk up to the front door and knock at the door?
Los reporteros caminaban a la puerta principal y tocaban a la puerta.
Llegaban hasta la puerta y se metían para adentro y se los dejaba.
They would come to the door and they would go inside if I allowed them to.
But only if you allowed them to,
Pero solo
correct?
usted los dejaba, correcto.
Porque cerraban la puerta porque venían con la cámara enfrente. El
Be-
canal 34 me siguió hasta la puerta y hasta que la cerré.
Because I would close the door, they would come with their cameras to the front. Channel 34 followed me all the way to the door until I closed it.
Okay. And when was that?
¿Cuándo fue esto?
El día después que salió mi fotografía en la televisión.
The day after my picture came out on TV.
That would be January 26th?
26 de enero.
Yo creo, no sé qué fecha.
I think. I don't know what date it was.
Is there a fence around the property?
Hay una reja alrededor de la propiedad.
Pero mantienen el gate abierto.
But they keep the gate open.
Okay. So the gate can close, is that correct?
¿Correcto? Yes.
Okay. The gate can be locked,
También
correct?
se puede cerrar con llave esa puerta.
Sí.
Yes.
And if you lock the gate, then the reporters can't come onto the property, correct?
Los porteros no pueden pasar a la propiedad, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
But you didn't bother to lock the gate, correct?
Usted no se tomó la molestia de cerrar con llave.
Our house, the Salinger's house.
Well, the weight of the answer is for me to determine. That's already occurred to me.
Well, I wanted to remind you.
No, you don't need to remind me. And I saw the house, and I've seen the fence
And the gate.
and the gate.
You shouldn't ask these questions. You've already seen them.
Well, the gate was locked when we were there, counsel. Okay, but you
Second
didn't
time.
bother to, yeah,
The second time, yes.
but you didn't bother to lock the gate, correct?
Porque el gate no es mío, señor, y la señora no le gusta que lo
Can she
cierre.
answer the question, yes or no,
Because the
please?
gate isn't mine, and the lady doesn't like me to lock it.
All right, the answer will stand. Counsel, whether or not the gate opens or closes is not real important to the
That's fine,
decision I
Your
have to make.
You told us that you flew into LAX at 1:30 this morning? Is that
Al
correct?
aeropuerto de Los Ángeles a la 1:30 de la madrugada, ¿correcto? Ajá.
Okay.
Sí.
And, Your
Yes.
Honor, and did we stipulate to the name of the airline on the record, Your Honor?
Ya estipulamos el nombre de la aerolínea.
Yo no sé la hora que llegué.
1:20, I don't know the time exactly.
Your Honor, we checked with this airline, and they indicated that their last flight arrived at 11:30, and that the crews all left by 12:30. So perhaps we should get some confirmation from the witness as to what the name of the airline is, as opposed to the stipulation we've entered into already.
All right, we can do that at the sidebar. Since apparently they were met by somebody. Why'd you find out? Get me the flight number, et cetera, so we can confirm that. Why don't you move on, Mr. Darden? Certainly.
Your Honor, I'd like to inquire of the witness further regarding the fee arrangement she has with Mr. Jones, and I would like to confer with Mr. Jones before I proceed.
All right. Record reflect Mr. McKenna is here as well. Mr. Darden finished his conversation with Mr. Jones. Thing at a time.
Your Honor, may I approach with the name of the airline just giving you a piece of paper?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez, is this the name of the airline?
¿Es el nombre de la aerolínea en la que voló?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did not fly in on Southwest Airlines?
No voló usted en Southwest Airlines.
No.
No.
Okay. And you came from out of state, is that
Vino
correct?
usted de otro estado, ¿correcto? Yes.
Okay. And you came at the request of someone, correct?
¿Se lo pidió alguien, correcto?
Porque me sentí con la obligación,
And we
porque
have a yes or no answer?
Because I felt the duty
justamente atestiguar ahora.
to come to testify today.
Motion to strike, Your Honor, it's non-responsive.
It's all right. It'll stand.
Someone asked you to come
¿Alguien le pidió que
here
viniera
today and testify, correct?
a testificar, correcto?
Yes.
Yes.
Who asked you to do that?
Mr. Johnnie.
Mr. Jones?
Okay. And you say you did that out of a duty you believe you have. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's on. Correct. She said Mr. Johnny.
That's what I thought I heard.
She said Mr. Johnny.
Let's clarify with the interpreter.
Johnny or
Yeah,
Jones?
Johnny.
Johnny, sorry.
Okay. The gentleman seated right
¿El
here.
señor que está sentado aquí?
Yes.
Yes. ¿Este?
Mr.
Yes.
Douglas?
¿El
For
señor
record, Your
Douglas?
Honor.
Yes.
Yes.
I hope we have an ID issue.
It's a great straight line.
And what did Mr. Douglas say to you
¿Qué le dijo al señor Douglas
when he asked you to return?
cuando le pidió que regresara?
Hablé con mi abogado primero y yo le dije a mi abogado que estaba lejos.
I first talked to my lawyer and I told my lawyer that I was away.
Y él dijo, tienes que venir porque te necesitamos mañana.
And he said to me, you have to come because we need you tomorrow.
Le dije, no se preocupe, yo llego.
I said to him, don't worry, I'll be there.
But what if your attorney tells you,
I object to the fallback question. What is it, Judge? What is this, like make-believe?
I
Is that a proper
Okay.
question?
haven't heard the question yet.
so when your attorney asked you to come, you just came,
Su
correct?
abogado le pidió que viniera, nada más vino, ¿verdad?
Yes.
Yes.
Out of a sense of duty.
Por un sentido de obligación.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And do you still feel a duty to testify in this case?
¿Siente la obligación de declarar en este caso?
Sí.
Yes.
And if called again to come and testify, will you come and testify?
¿Vendría usted a declarar?
No, ya no vengo más.
No, I won't come anymore.
Okay. So you feel you no longer have any duty to come and testify, correct?
La obligación de venir el deber de venir a declarar, ¿correcto?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you ever discuss receiving money for your story with anyone?
¿Ha hablado con quien sea de recibir dinero por su historia?
No, señor.
No, sir.
No one offered you $5,000.
¿Ofreció $5,000?
No, señor.
No, sir.
You never asked anyone for $5,000.
$5,000?
No.
No.
Can you answering my questions before the interpreter can interpret?
Well,
Okay.
Mr. Darden, whether or not she understands or doesn't understand
sí,
English,
entiendo,
I can take into consideration the fact that she's been in this country for over 20 years.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have for now, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Cochran, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. Thank you again.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lopez.
Good afternoon, sir.
And what do you refer to me as?
¿Y usted cómo me dice a mí? How do what?
What do you call me?
A mí cómo me dice usted?
Johnny.
Johnny.
Okay, yes.
Sí.
And in that connection, when did you leave Los Angeles to go to this other state?
Para irse al otro estado que fue.
¿Cuándo me fui?
When did I leave?
Yes, to go to the other state.
Para ir al otro estado.
Me fui el miércoles en la mañana.
I left Wednesday morning.
All right, and did you talk to your lawyer before you left to go to this other state?
Antes de irse a este otro estado?
No, no le llamé.
No, I didn't call him.
And so the record is clear when I'm talking about your lawyer, I'm referring to Mr. Carl Jones. All right? And before you left on Wednesday, Mr. Jones had advised you had to be in court today on Friday. Is that correct?
Que tenía que estar aquí el viernes, ¿correcto?
Yes.
Yes.
And yesterday, did you make a call to Mr. Jones and tell him where you were?
¿Al señor Jones para decirle dónde estaba?
Sí.
Yes.
And after you talked to Mr. Jones, did you have occasion to talk to my law office about where you were?
¿Bufete jurídico de sobre dónde estaba usted?
Sí.
Yes.
And thereafter, were reservations made for you to fly back to Los Angeles in the early morning hours so you could be here this morning?
En la madrugada para que usted pudiera estar aquí esta mañana?
Sí.
Yes.
And in that connection,
En conexión a eso.
the flight that you came on arrived about 1:25 or 1:30 in the morning?
1:30 de la madrugada?
Sí.
Yes.
And you were picked up at the airport by the gentleman who was in here that you call Patty, over in the corner, Mr.
Patty, que
McKenna?
está ahí en la esquina, señor
Yes.
McKenna? Yes.
And what time did you go to bed this morning?
Se acostó usted esta mañana.
A las 2:15, 2:20.
At 2:15, 2:20,
All right. And what time did you wake up this morning?
A las 5 de la mañana.
at 5 in the morning.
And what time did you arrange to meet at my law office sometime early this morning?
A las 6 de la mañana.
At 6 in the morning,
Se reture.
7:30.
And so what you arrived in Los Angeles at 1:30. You went to bed about shortly after 2:15, is that right?
Poco después de las 2:15, ¿correcto?
Sí,
Yes,
You were up by 5?
sí.
yes.
And I'm not clear what time it was that you came.
Mr. McKenna's still in the courtroom.
Yes, he is. Mr. McKenna, why don't you step out?
And what time did you arrive at the law office, if you recall?
¿A qué horas llegó usted a la oficina, al
No me
bufete
fijé.
jurídico? I didn't notice.
Is Irma in the courtroom as well as now?
Yes, she is. Mr. Jones would like to leave, too. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you had a conversation with us this morning